is Coach Keita Bussey with 180 Firearms Training Podcast, accompanied today by Grant Chancellor Madison from South Africa, Mike Seifert from New Jersey, and Andy Stockwell from Texas. Today, we are going to talk about the Train Smart Advanced class for 180 Firearms Training. Grant took the very first class that I ever put together in South Africa, and Andy took the most recent one, the first time we had the 2-day class with a PowerPoint and a workbook and all kinds of stuff. So Grant, why don't you, Andy, why don't you introduce yourself first? Tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Andy Stockwell. Been shooting since 2019, mostly compete in IDPA, have started rolling into some USPSA locally.
Division?
Started taking
what division you shoot, you know, like
right now I'm shooting carry optics in both divisions, and going to be shooting decided to start shooting some CCP and IDPA as well. So just the different round counts and changing things up a little bit. It was time to do it, so gonna go start that route right now.
All right, cool. So Grant, can you start us off by telling us, tell our audience what happened in South Africa, because this class did not exist when I got there.
Well, no, it didn't. So we finished up Keita's 2-day movement class, and you went to go test out the beach in Cape Town. But a couple of the guys here, we really wanted more, because we didn't have you for very long, and it's not like we can just hop over to the US to get another class. So while you're here, we needed everything that you've got. So we started pushing you for an advanced class. And I believe on the flight, there was a 2-hour flight between Cape Town and Joburg. You pulled out an advanced class, and we organized you a range and everything you needed. And yeah, we showed up. Now it was interesting, because when I showed up to the range, I was told I'm not allowed to go to that range over there. I had to stay far away from it, so I couldn't see the surprise stage that you had set up, which was quite interesting. So finally get my turn, walk up to the surprise stage, and I was like, "You have 30 seconds, go." Like, go do. Okay, fine, I'll do. And then I had just a very limited time to walk through it. I didn't know what was going on. Luckily, all my bags were loaded. And then, I had to shoot the stage basically blind. And that was the first time I'd ever done that.
Sounds like an IPSC match, you know? You got 30 seconds to look at it for one time, and then there you go.
Basically, yes. So, yeah, I shot the stage. I did leave a target, which was the whole point of the exercise. So, yeah, Keita also broke down quite a lot that, we'd never even considered, like the performance bubble and stuff like that. The thing with the timers was really cool. The trying to get the reaction time, that was really eye-opening. And then the kamikaze drill was pretty demoralizing. I don't know. Yeah, Andy, you've obviously done that one.
Yes.
Because
yes.
The prize was the hat. I wanted the hat, man. I really wanted
maybe one of you can explain to me. I thought what you just said was what is a performance bubble? When you say you're enhancing your performance bubble, what are you talking about with that?
Well, Grant, what is your perception of it? What did I explain to you in your class?
Okay, well, basically it's a case of where you set your goals at a match. So if you set your goals just to win and something goes wrong, you probably only come second or third. So if you set your performance goals higher than just scraping the barrel of winning, if something does go wrong, you're still higher above the person who's going to come second.
So shoot for the stars, and if you miss, you're still pretty high. Is that the goal?
Pretty much, yeah.
You don't want to just win the match; you want to dominate the match. Is that what you're talking about?
You want to win by a margin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what she had us do as well. As far as performance bubble, it was finding our 100% at what we run at individually, and then working to dial that back for the match. We go in and train. Keita through the class, the entire class was run till the wheels fall off, and that's what we were trying to do with our training. and then dial that back for match in the match mentality as we're getting closer. So that's what we've been working on, and the kamikaze drill will do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever like dialed it back actually. You know, I always just try to run with till the wheels fall off on every match. So maybe that's part of my problem. So maybe I got to start working on that.
All right. So Grant, what else do you remember from that class? It was one day. I literally wrote the curriculum on the plane on the way there.
I did write notes. Anyway, the stuff that wasn't in your book you did discuss, but it was a long time ago. So that's basically the main takeaways I have from that. Also, shooting a PCC on the kamikaze drill is easier than a handgun, FYI.
Well, PCC is just easier than everything, you know. It's a cheater division,
basically. But yeah, I walked away with that with a better understanding of where I needed to set my goals and how I need to win matches. So yeah, that's what I remember. There was probably a lot more.
What about when I had you guys mess with each other?
Oh, the mag thing. Oh yes, the mag thing. Well, yeah, so basically Kidda had us give our mags to someone else and have them load them with whatever they wanted. So
why?
You know, we still had to shoot the stage, but now you don't know how many rounds are in your mag. You don't know if someone's put a shell casing in your mag, or if someone's put a dummy round in your mag, or if someone's loaded 2 rounds in the mag that you start with, then now you need to shoot an array of 3 targets. So it was also a case of, if things go wrong, are you going to just sit and scream and, oh no, it's messing up, or are you going to actually fix the problem and continue shooting the stage? So that was also pretty interesting. So I forgot about that.
It was basically a malfunction clearing drill, and then you have to get back on your plan, and it brings pressure to your practice. So Andy, in your class, I had to mess with someone's mags because we had an uneven number.
That was me. What? Yeah, you messed with my mags, and you didn't do anything to them. So thanks.
So what did I do?
I like that.
I ended up, you know, I brought a bunch of dummy rounds. That was part of the curriculum. You're like, if you can bring some dummy rounds. So I brought those, and odd number, you ended up with my mags. I handed you dummy rounds. You handed me back a mag, and went and ran the stage again. And all of a sudden, everything worked. So it was trying to keep that mental preparedness for the malfunction, but it never happened.
Oh, so you were shooting expecting a malfunction on the very next round. And on the next round, on the next
interesting.
Round.
That's interesting. I did that in my RO class. That was the same thing happened in my RO class. So George would tell people, like, you know, okay, I want you to do this and this. And then when he came up to me, he told the guy to just do it right. And I'm sitting there, and I had made so many wrong calls on that because I'm like expecting something wrong. You know, like, when is the thing that's going to happen wrong? So that's a great drill, actually. I like that.
Yeah, so the best way to get in their head is for them to think something's going to happen, and then nothing happens, but it's in their head the whole time, and then to focus through that.
Yeah. I ended up doing a reload in a weird spot and all kinds of different stuff. So, because I got through the top half of the mag, and it was a position change, and I was like, I've got rounds in there, but I didn't need to do the reload. So I ended up doing a reload in a weird spot, and yeah, it was a good challenge. It was good to think about, you know, and that's one of the things you and I had discussed before, was mental preparedness getting into the match. You know, even at the first class, and that's one of the things I've been working on and trying to get prepped for.
So Grant, what did they do to you?
I had more empty shell casing in my mag than after rounds. I had about, I think it was 3 or 4 mags, and there were just empty shell casings in all of them. So I was just,
you couldn't even finish. You didn't even have enough ammo to finish the stage, did you?
That would have been me. Yeah. I would have definitely set your mags like that.
Yeah, it didn't even load. Like, what was the round count? It was something ridiculous, like 12 or 13 or something. I was like, they didn't even load enough rounds for me to complete the stage.
Over,
so I was like, ended up there. Yeah, all the mags were on the ground. They were all empty, and the gun was locked back. I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm done. Yeah. So, yeah, that was. I learned how to run an empty gun very well there.
So basically what I did to create this class was, as I'm sitting on the plane flying from Cape Town to Joburg, I'm thinking, okay, what training techniques have I used when training people to go to the world shoot who could potentially win, training national champions in different countries? What have I done to train them? What training styles have worked? And then I created drills based on how the top guys train. And that was the entire class. This is how the top guys train. And these are the things they don't want you to know, because they don't want you to beat them. So nobody teaches these kind of drills. I mean, I'm not going to say nobody teaches these kind of drills. I've seen, malfunction clearing drills and things like that. But basically the entire class is managing your mentality and bringing pressure to your practice and how to push yourself and then dial it back, and then doing some math as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
goal
so
setting.
Andy, I got a question for you. I mean, Grant, national champion. What class are you, Andy?
I am a C class right now.
Okay, so
high C class.
Did you feel like the techniques Tita was teaching, like what the pros do? Do you think that was helpful, or do you think that was a little advanced for you, or how did you feel about that?
No, I think it was very helpful. I've worked to get to that point where I think it does help. If I was any lower, it probably would not have been as effective. But right now, it's one of those, I think that's something that I needed to help push myself forward, because you can only go so far with your own skills without getting outside help. That's just all there is to it. And that's what I started doing here at this point this year. And so carry optics, I'm a high C class, 58%. So as we're going through the class, I'm setting up these goals that Keita's working through, and it's, okay, I'm a high C class. I shoot a USPSA match about once a month. So my goal at this point is be A class in a year. You got to get to B class. So goal for B class is 6 months. So we go through and we start setting those goals and getting them, lined up, ready to go. It's typical goal setting, but you got to have them written down, and you're going to set the action steps, start getting those and making that progress. So I think everybody kind of knows that in their head, but having an outside coach come in and say, hey, this is what you need to do, and actually give you, I've got Keita's log right here waiting for the new book to come out. You just got to work through it. And sometimes that refresher course on the goal setting, coming in and saying, this is what you need to do, is what you need. So I was very appreciative of it, and hoping, planning, and working through the system, and looking for that A class in a year. So
yeah,
no, I was grateful for it, I think.
Grant, in your class, what was the level of shooter who took the class?
It was basically guys national champion level. We had the other standard national champion, the production optics guy who's also national champion. We also had really top level shooters as well take your class, and a couple of the open top shooters. So your class is basically filled with some of the top level shooters in South Africa.
And what did they take from it? What was the general consensus? Was it helpful, not helpful?
Well, I can't speak for
mixed bag.
Can't speak for them. I like to think that they took quite a lot from it. Seeing how their shooting has changed and improved since that class, I'd like to think this has helped dramatically. You push the level higher in South Africa, definitely. Maybe that's a bad thing for me. So maybe you can teach me a few things like on the fly there, and we can.
Hey, don't be selfish. Other people being good too keeps you getting yourself better. Otherwise, you get stagnant.
Right.
So I feel like that's the
basically
best thing that can happen to you, Grant.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think everyone's improved dramatically, and also from what I'm seeing from the shooting and that, a lot of the stuff that is international is now starting to be incorporated at the level here. So a lot of the international movement and international entries and exits is actually starting to make more of an appearance, and it's changing the game slightly. Yeah, because it was kind of a little bit of a different sport before you came, with regards to trigger control and that. And I think that has actually, it started to change when after you left, and now it's starting to become recognized in that.
Good. Yeah, you guys needed to catch up with the rest of the world. It's hard being secluded like that. So Andy, in Grant's class, they didn't have a workbook. They didn't have a PowerPoint. It was a one-day class. They had a whiteboard, and we did a bunch of drills and mixed in classroom sessions. What was your class like that you took? How far have we come from that?
Well, we had, like you said, we've got, I showed it a little bit ago. We've got our workbook, which I'm still waiting for my pages that are not in Russian.
I did send those to,
Oh, did you send them? Them to him? I'll reach out to him. Had a workbook, had a PowerPoint. It was a good session where we sat around and we talked. There was a lot more interaction than there was with the first one, in a conversational setting, because we were bouncing ideas off of each other on taking what you brought to us and incorporating that into the way we worked. So it was formal, but it was informal as we were working things up and working together. Definitely had a team atmosphere in the improvement side, and then we got to the drills, and it was, let's see whose throat we can cut while we're trying to do this.
Yeah. I always feel like you should have a friend or a partner that's going to help push you like that too, that you're working with a team. Like I not necessarily PCC guys, because around me PCC is not very big, but I have a few open shooter friends that we always are trying to push each other and work together about how we're going to plan stuff and do it. Honestly, because I don't care if they beat me, if they're shooting open, so they should beat me. But I mean, I feel like, us working together, and it's going to make us both better. The way I'm thinking about it, the way he's thinking about it, we kind of compare ideas and then try to come up with one solid thing to do.
A big part of pushing people is pitting one person against another. So that is a technique that I've used in the Train Smart classes. Okay, I need to push this guy because he can do more than what he's doing right now. So I'm going to pit him against this other guy, and I'm going to get in their heads a little bit and make them work for it.
So your whole thing is you're pushing people outside of their comfort zone a little bit, right? Is that what
exactly?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people get
Andy?
locked in. They get locked into that comfort zone, and then they never get better. So
and that was definitely, you definitely reached outside the comfort zone to push. I don't know if we can use names, but I'm going to. Wade and myself, we were pushing each other, and we're still doing it. Going back to the kamikaze kamikaze drill. It's about lunchtime, so he's run it a couple of more times since the match, and he's like, "Hey, I ran this in whatever he did it at that point." He's like, "All right, so now I got to go do it again." And push that and push myself through that and catch up to him. So we've got a couple of guys, and shooting in Central Texas, we've got a bunch of good guys in the area, and we've always kind of pushed each other in that level. We've always set something, oh, hey, I'm getting closer to whoever I'm running against that point. And running through Kita's class and having several of those guys in the class with me, we're able to push ourselves even more now and start looking at getting some of the, catching up some of the masters and GMs that we got in the area.
Nice.
So Grant, did you feel that I was pitting you against one another to challenge you?
Yes, especially at the kamikaze drill.
All right, what is this kamikaze drill? We keep hearing about it. Are you going to disclose what that is, Kita, or are we not going to? Is this like a secret that you have to take the class for? What is this kamikaze drill?
It's a plate track with 5 plates, and you got 4 positions, and you have to use all the positions. There's 6 plates.
So you shoot. You're at one. You shoot the plate. Run to another one. Shoot another plate. Run to another one. Shoot another plate.
Yeah, but you can't just go back and forth. You have to use all the positions. So
you don't have to use all the positions. Yeah. You just can't repeat the same movement over again that you've already done. So you actually have to stage plan it.
Yeah. Well, my stage plan probably wasn't the greatest because it took me until the third try to actually, no, fourth. Anyway,
The fourth time's the charm, Graham. You know, the fourth
I
time's the
failed
charm.
a bunch of times to get it. I don't know how you
And
found it,
then-
Andy. How...
So here I am, a B class shooter, teaching a class full of national champions, and they can't complete this drill.
Yeah, we
So
all
after
faded
giving
and
them a
Keita
few
sticks.
runs at it, they said, "Oh, you're coaching, you
This
do
is
it." And I was
impossible.
like, "Okay," and I did it, and they're like, "Oh man, we all just got beat by a little blonde girl."
Yeah, no, well, I also want to say a little blonde girl who borrowed a gun and borrowed a rig when she came here. So that also kind of like put it in there. That
Rubbed
like, we all
salt in the
sucked.
wound a little bit.
Yeah, so then after that we managed to do it because we thought it was okay, it's doable. So maybe the whole pushing us thing, I mean we were still trying to like, let's do it quickly, you know. But
So what they had to learn was shooting mode versus moving mode, switching gears between moving as hard as you can between positions and visual patience in the position. Once they learned that, they were able to complete the drill.
Nice. Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on something you just said. I know we had said, Andy said he's a C class shooter, and you just said you're a B class shooter. It does not matter what class you are. It does not matter what letters are next to your name. If you know what you're doing, you know, don't ever doubt anybody's ability or anybody's knowledge based on what that letter is next to your name. Anybody, you can learn anything from anybody. So yeah, I find a couple of people are like, well, if they're not GMs, it's pointless to learn it. But I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because just because they're not GMs doesn't necessarily mean they don't have something to offer, you know? So I think that that's it.
Also, some of the best coaches in the world have never participated in the sport that they are coaching. So think about that for a minute. Our sport is just in its infancy, so the perception is that it has to be a GM because they can't think outside the box, which is actually not outside the box in every other sport. They have coaches, and we need coaches.
Yeah. So Andy, how long did it take you to complete the kamikaze draw, and did Keita like show you guys off by doing it and make it seem easy? I'm curious.
She did do it. But she was still recovering from her accident at
getting shot.
Yeah, getting shot. So it wasn't real quick, but she did do it. I think she did it in 28 seconds or something like that. And I finally got it done. I think it took me 5 times. All I know is Keita was like, "This is the last time. Stop. You're not doing any more." So I was like, great. So I've got to get it done here. And I finally got it done.
I say that to put on the pressure.
Yeah.
And I finally got it done in 1907, I think is what we.
I like comparing times. I like going fast. So that'd be a big challenge for me. And then if somebody beat my time, I'd ask if I could go again.
Yeah.
There's something
also, like,
new.
It took a while for me. And I was like, eventually, it was starting to get dark as well by us. And I was like, he was like, okay, this is the last time. I was like, damn it. All right. And then I managed to do it on the last time as well. So there's obviously something. Maybe I work well under pressure.
Wow,
maybe that's
interesting.
That's the thing.
So it's Andy
You have to make the
Grant,
decision. Yep.
both on the last time when you say this is the last time you got it, they both nail it. Maybe there's something to that.
There is. It's part of my manipulation tactics.
So how can I use that to tell myself before a stage, like, this is, should I say this is the only chance you have at this, and like, or should I put a lot of pressure on myself? Is that what you're telling me to do?
Well, it's kind of like when you have a reshoot and you have to shoot it like it's the first time you're ever shooting the stage and let go of whatever you did the last time. It's that same sort of mindset.
Would love to figure out, if we could talk about reshoots, maybe not on this maybe on another podcast, but like, I am terrible at reshoots, and I've tried to, like, I'm going to shoot them right away. I'm going to wait till you go last. I like, for some reason, like, I get it so built up in my head on that first stage, on the first time I run through it. And then once it's over, it's like, it's like a mental flush. Like, okay, I'm done with it. Now you're going to tell me I have to reshoot it. So it's like, I got to restart that whole process to build it back up again. And for some reason, reshoots never work out for me, unless that's just the reshoot gods in general.
Champs, I had a reshoot. Just touch on African Champs, I had a reshoot. I had a better shoot the second time around than the first one. Yeah,
now, is that like a normal for you? Do you normally do better on a reshoot?
Usually my reshoots are better.
Oh, God, I wish. I'm so jealous.
Can we get some of that mojo our direction?
Right.
All right. So another big change in the new Train Smart curriculum is I've incorporated a lot of vision training from the research by Joan Vickers and also the right eye vision training. So Andy, what was the vision training like?
The vision training that you had us do, basically, I think it was 5 targets. The part that I really remember is the what do you call it?
It was just it was an advanced quiet eye drill.
Yeah, and you had a name for it. I don't remember what it was, but we had white targets set up out, 15 yards, and even before we shot any of them, you had us just line up, and every time you'd hit the buzzer, we'd have to move our eyes, then have our gun come in on our eyes.
This was the lift and snap drill.
The lift and snap drill. Yeah.
The transition drill. So
yeah, the transition drill, but that worked into the quiet eye for me with getting on target and then having the gun come into the vision instead of tracking. And that's what I remember.
Yeah,
So
so
what do you
Grant did the
What do you mean quiet eyes though? I don't get it. What do you mean? Like define quiet eyes for like loud eyes? Is that like the opposite? Like what is that?
quiet eye just means you're not jumping around between a whole bunch of focal points over a big space. It's basically aim small, miss small. So
Okay.
your eyes are not moving all over the place. They're much more still or quiet. That's what it is.
It's not like leading with your eyes. It has nothing to do with it or anything, but like
No, it's you don't want your eyes to be jumping around a lot. So if I tell you to take in the image of my hand, your
yeah.
eyes automatically are going to jump between all different focal points all over my hand. If I tell you instead to look at this spot on my hand, your eyes will still jump around, but it's in a much smaller space. So there's a lot less movement.
Got it.
Now, the elite athletes who aim, this is weird and it seems almost superhuman. Their eyes don't jump around within that spot. They actually go straight to that spot. They may have one adjustment and then they move on. So they only have 1 or 2 focal points where we
Right.
might have.
So
20.
you're not looking at the entire A zone or the entire down zero. You're looking at the A in the A zone, right? Like you're trying to keep
Or
it super small.
Tiny like spot in that area.
Yeah, so
Got
for
it.
the lift and snap drill, Grant, you did this drill as well. It was the transition drill, but now I have flipped around the targets to the white side as sort of training wheels to help you see the instant the sights begin to lift and transition off.
Yeah.
It just creates more contrast that way.
Yeah, no, the sights are black with a fiber optic, so it does help with that. Especially with when I was shooting 40 back then, like the sights lifted quite a lot. So that was pretty easy. One of the things to stop yourself from doing is over thinking, or before you pull the trigger, start to move. Don't do that. And that was the problem that I ran into quite quickly. After that, instead of getting an A, I'd actually just drag it into the C or the delta zone.
Yeah, you had to go sit in the timeout corner.
Yes, I did. I did have to go sit in the timeout corner. And then I did also an oopsie in the timeout corner by letting the wheels fall off and trying to shoot the transition draw a little bit too fast. And then he was like, no. Because that wasn't how I was supposed to. I was like, oh, wheels are falling off. I'm like, no, just shoot how the sights are. Shoot your sights.
Shoot your sights.
We didn't have a timeout corner, so I don't know what she was doing down there.
That was just a Grant thing.
No.
Basically, he was trying to do something on the drill that was not part of the drill. So I broke it down into something smaller, sent him to another bay and said, I want you to go and work on this for a little bit, then come back and we'll try it again. So he had to just sort of switch gears in his brain.
Yeah.
How many people were in your class, Grant? How many people were in your class, Andy? Like how many people actually? 7, and then Andy?
Yeah, we had 7 as well.
7.
Well, we had 7 on one day, and then one of the
8
guys
on the
ended
other.
up- No, we had 6.
Oh, 6 on the other. Yeah.
That's great though.
One guy left. So
That's great though, because then you really get some personal attention from Keto. I feel like, if there's only 6 people and you're there for a few days, it's, you're going to get your money's worth on not feel like you were just, just another person in the
A
class.
dude on the
Yeah,
line
I'm not
with another
gonna
20
line up
people.
20 guys. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
You've
that's
got to
awesome.
have that individual attention.
That's awesome.
So what about the eye movement and moving targets, Andy?
That I figured that's where you're going to go next. We don't like small targets.
Tell them what that means. So actually, Grant shot this match that I was telling you guys about. When I shot the South African match, the Nationals, they had
Right,
those
that-
1/3
I won
size
that match.
or
It was a
1/3
good
scale.
match.
You did. So describe to Andy what the swingers looked like.
Yeah, so the swingers were basically, there was hard cover, and like literally you could only see basically just the top of the alpha zone on the target. As it's an IPSC side, it's the IPSC target, so you just see the alpha, a bit of a Charlie, a bit of the delta, and that's it. And they were fast. They were pretty fast, and they're pretty far away. So
And they were mini targets.
I don't believe they were. They were just so far away. They seemed.
No, they did use
Was there
some
one
mini
stage
targets
where they had a mini target?
as swingers.
There was one.
Are those like
there
those
was-
half-size targets that you could see in like
Yeah.
a
Okay.
full
Right.
Yeah, there
rifle?
was a-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
stage or two where they did have the mini. It was a mini. So in IPSC, you have to have all minis on the stage, and they did have the mini swinger. Same thing, but yeah, that and then also
A mini.
when
It was
they
a
had
mini
those swings-
swinger. Oh my
Yes.
God, that's
Which means
crazy.
it's faster because there's less
diabolical.
resistance.
You're diabolical, Keita. Jesus.
I won that.
No, I didn't do that. That was it. That was at Nationals in
Oh my
South
goodness.
Africa.
Oh my, did Shannon Smith set that match up? I would just like to know.
Well,
And it was also,
It is totally a Shannon move.
but it wasn't also
she
that,
did do it
was
to
also you
us
had
at
a
the
hard
class.
lean.
So
Yeah, Andy, tell him what happened at the class.
So Keita, we're sitting there, and Jason is the guy that runs the club we were at, and he comes up. He's walking up with his half-size target, and we're all like, "What the hell is he doing with that?" So Keita sets up swingers. We're moving. She starts talking about swingers, how to engage them, tracking them, and then we run through a couple of different drills
Scenarios.
to work on them. Yeah, to work on tracking. And then she goes out, pulls off the regular size swinger, puts up this half size, puts up more barrels to where we've got a gap like, that
Oh
big.
my God. So you're making them shoot it at the fastest point. Oh, you are a monster.
we've got to
At the height.
we've got to shoot it at. So we're moving. No, that was with the regular one. That was after she sets that up. So we're 10 yards away, 10 yards away from the steel activator, 12 yards away or so from the half size target. And it's activate, see how many you can get on target with this mini, and it's doing this.
She South African you.
I did.
So
I totally did.
and she was laughing the whole time too in the background. You could hear it. You could hear it whenever you start the buzzer. You could hear her laughing. But
Because I had to do it in a match at Nationals. So now it's your turn.
but we all got some on target. I think I actually got 4 out of 5 that I engaged on target.
Dots
Nando
make it
got
easier for swingers.
do what?
Dots, red dot sights make it easier.
Oh
on
yes,
swingers.
yeah, for sure. And I think all of
they're
us
tight.
I think all of us had dots that day. Couple were running open guns, but most of
Or
us were shooting
perioptics
perioptic.
or-
Yeah. So it did help, but still, you got that half-size swinger moving and waving at you every time it goes by. It's frustrating. So yeah, it was a good drill. And then we ran through and we actually did afterwards to prove that show that we've done some improvement. She had to shoot a regular size swinger on the move. So And we all did really well on that, I think.
All right, so what happened with the vision training, it was eye movement for moving targets. So we talked about basically ambush versus tracking and using saccades, which is where your eyes jump between targets, versus smooth visual pursuits where they're tracking along with the target. And if your gun isn't moving, you're late, all that sort of thing, and covered the scientific details behind the vision. So we talked about shooting at the dwell, ambushing, tracking back, versus shooting at the height of the swing, versus between two barrel stacks where it basically appears and disappears very quickly. So I had them start with full-size targets. They activated it and went straight to the swinger, just so they could get used to how to track the swinger versus ambush the swinger and when to do which thing. So after they've done this, then I said, all right, well, now we're gonna let the wheels fall off and you're gonna take 2 targets after activating. How did that go, Andy?
Went well, actually. Showed we were able to push that speed and use that time effectively as we're waiting for the swinger to come out after the activator runs.
I see that all the time. I hate when people shoot the activator and then sit there and wait for the swinger. Like it takes like a second for that thing to fall down and come out. And now especially me, when you're behind the dot or you're behind the gun, that second feels like it's forever. So there's gotta be something else you can do there. Yeah.
We also talked about hit factor and how many passes of the swinger you're going to allow yourself, and making that decision before the stage so you don't go to war with it.
And actually, one of the best things that you said was, while you're doing your prep work on the swinger, don't watch the swinger for the first couple of times. This rolls back into how many times you're going to look at it. If you're watching it the first couple of times, and that's when you're going to gauge it. Don't watch it after that, because you get your timing off in your mental preparedness. So that's one of the things I've really been trying to do whenever we've got swingers or other movers. It's okay. So this is 1, 2. That's the speed that I'm going to engage that at. I don't look at that swinger again afterwards.
That's smart.
Because
you have to learn to match the speed.
Yeah.
With your eyes. Your eyes have to match the speed.
Yeah. So I don't want to have that slower speed in my brain when I'm trying to do my visualization, my match prep.
Yep. So then I switched it out for the mini swinger and had you guys shoot that, so that when you go to a match and you see a full-size swinger, you're like, I got this. I can do this. And then to prove that to you, I had you shoot the swinger on the move. So as far as footwork, including that into this class, it was more, what did I say, Andy, about the footwork?
Footwork was really more the first class, and trying to, work that integrated already. You kind of expected us to come with that, some of that work already done. So I think we all did. I think everybody that was in the class had really improved their footwork since I think I took the class in June. I know it's one of the things I've been working on. Wade's been working on. There's been several other, Nando. We've all been working on that and trying to get in and out of positions quicker. And we worked on some. I think there was footwork was really more in this class, was more involved with entry and exit, and setting up in positions, and making that transition from moving mode to shooting mode. I think that was where more of the footwork came in.
It was more the application of what you already learned and giving me an opportunity to see how far you've come with your footwork. But I did give little bits of feedback here and there on footwork itself. And what did you learn about position entry and how long that takes you?
For
Do you remember
me,
that,
Yes, the run over and slap and the run over and shoot. So whenever we started timing that out, I think what do we do? 12 yards, something like that. We timed our movement from position to position, and then position to gun up, and then shooting. And takes me about a second at this point, from an added second to getting stopped and getting the gun up to where I'm ready to shoot.
See, that doesn't sound right to me. That the way you said that sounded wrong. You should never stop and then get the gun up. I feel like the gun should be up.
And that's you know, that's one of the things
that's part of it.
That's part of it. It's part of what I got to work on. And that was okay, so we're coming in. Why do I not have the gun up higher, ready to go?
Aiming at the target through the barricade.
Yeah. So
this gave them numerical values. How long does it take you to set up and hit a steel plate at 15 yards or whatever it was? Okay, well, now you have something measurable. So now you can do it again and see if it's improved and tweak things. Okay, I need to have the gun up sooner. I need to control my entry a little bit more, come in lower, take smaller steps, whatever it may be, and see if that time goes down consistently.
I like the way she just put in all three things I need to work on.
Yeah, I mean, especially for PCC.
Steps.
Yeah, well, for PCC, I mean, the entries and the exits are huge, you know, because it's a lot of mass that you're trying to get in and out of the spot. So, like, you know, like to me, that's one area that I focus on a lot is that my footwork and my entries and my exits, and trying to be smooth with it. But I mean, you guys are all pistol shooters, so you don't really have to deal with that same thing that I do. But
this drill actually gives you numerical values for that, so you know if you're improving. You know how long it's taking you to set up in a position. So is it going to be better to try and shift your weight through versus setting up? Usually, yeah, especially with the PCC.
Yeah. But what else we got here? What it says here, I'm reading your curriculum. It says contingency plans. I'm interested, like, what is it? Is that like an audible if something goes wrong or doesn't go to your first plan? Are you supposed to have like a backup plan, or what is a contingency plan?
Grant, did you do contingency plan drill in your class?
I don't recall that.
I don't remember if you guys did either.
I don't think we did. No, and see, this is the thing that people don't understand about your class is that it's always evolving, and you as a shooter are always evolving. So you always need to check in and take the class again. And I'm actually looking forward to taking your advanced class again, because it just sounds like it's awesome. But yeah, you just need to keep taking the class every once in a while to learn new things. So yeah, what contingency plans? Here to go.
Contingency plans, good or bad? Yes or no? A contingency plan is when you have your plan of how you want things to go, but if this happens, then I will do this. So you have this other plan in the back of your mind that you might need or you might not need. Kind of like when you had your non-malfunction clearing drill, you had this plan in the back of your head and thinking, oh, I'm going to have to reload. And so you did, but you didn't need to, because it's hard to balance that contingency plan. So if you're going to use one, there are reasons to use one, but you have to keep it really simple. So Andy, do you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah. Whenever we ran through it, we really focused around steel. If you have a steel, an activator, especially if you're low in, low round count, or low number of rounds in the mag, whenever you've shot at it, do you take that extra shot? Do you do a reload before you take the shot on it, just to make sure that you've got enough rounds in the gun to engage that activator in a feasible manner? So that's kind of really where we talked more about contingency plans. And that's something that I think is really good. You've got to have that in your brain at least a little bit, or
so you're low cap people. This is where I feel like you guys need more contingency plans. So what you're explaining to me is like, so if you got to run through 4 papers and then get to a steal, and then God forbid you had to shoot an extra one on paper or something like that. Maybe you take that steel from another position because now you've shot too much. Is that like what's in your head? Like, oh, if I go 1 for 1 on these targets, then I can take 2 shots at this steel and be fine? Or
and you've got to look at the stage and see if it's engageable at another position as well. That's part of that contingency plan as you're bringing it up. It's like, okay, so I've shot at this and I need to keep moving. Is there another position that I can engage, either the swinger or the steel or whatever you're shooting at, from another position where you don't blow your whole stage plan out of the water?
Well, this sounds really awesome for IPSC because we only got 15 round mags in production. So if it's a 14 round stage, a contingency plan, we can got 16 rounds on the gun.
See, how do you feel about that though? Like, would you? So, Keita, this is a question I got for you too. So, like, if the stage, now I don't ever worry about this because I got 53 rounds, but like, if you have a 24 round stage with a 24 round mag, like, do you think it's slower to not reload? Like, to me, I would rather just blaze it and throw a reload in somewhere. To me, there's always a spot to reload on the stage. You have to run from somewhere to somewhere, unless you're standing in a box, which then you're doing a 24 round
set. It'll probably
like, would you try to go 1 for 1 and shoot slower so that you don't miss, or would you try to just shoot like you shoot and do a reload?
That's the thing. Let's say we have a 24 round stage, right? And I'm trying to, whatever it might be, you're trying to go 1 for 1, right? No reload. So you have a steel in one position. It's available again at the end. That's the one you're really concerned about because it's maybe a tough steel and all the other targets are pretty close range. You're not too worried about them. So you shoot your stage, you take a mic on that steel. Now you have to run forward, but the steel is available later on. You weren't planning on doing a reload, but now because you need a makeup on that steel, you're going to do a reload, run forward, clean up that last steel.
So you would just try to go 1 for 1 on that kind of stage?
Yeah, but
so
also
because
I've done this in standard. I haven't done it yet with production, but I got 18 rounds in the gun. The stage is 18 rounds, so I can put +1. So I've got one extra round. So it's kind of like if I go 1 for 1 on the steel, and the movement on that particular stage was if I throw a reload in and miss it, it could cost me a second. So if I don't throw a reload in, I could save a second.
But did you feel like you were shooting slower because you knew you had the exact amount of rounds and you're trying not to get to a reload? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, do you feel like you slowed yourself down, or did you stay the same?
I ran the stage deliberately, maybe it was slower, but I ran the steel first. So if I run the steel first, get 1 for 1 on the steel, then I can just blaze the paper at the end.
Roger that.
So I've done that before to sort of rein in my accuracy. If I've been struggling with being really accurate in a match, then if it's a 1 for 1 stage, then that puts it in my head that, okay, now I have to get my hits and I actually shoot better. But for most people, I don't think that's how you should do it. But if you can avoid a reload, you got to risk it for the biscuit. If you don't take any risks, you're not going to reap any rewards. And there will be a place where, but then you have your contingency plan. So you're not planning on failing. You're planning on everything going perfectly.
So you'll say, I'm going to go 1 for 1. If I have to, I'll reload here, right? That's what you're getting at.
Yeah, if I miss that plate, I'm going to have to reload. Yeah. So I think that's a good contingency.
Well, and that kind of, it rolls over into that risk versus reward that we talk about, or that Keita talks about as well as you're running this. Do you just take the mic on that steel? Is it worth the reload? And got to start doing the calculations on that.
Yeah, that's where you get the calculator out.
Yeah.
I blew people's minds at Africa Champs when everyone's still doing the walkthrough, and I'm like with my calculator out in the corner, calculating the stage plan. And everyone's like, "What on earth are you doing?" I was like, I want to see if I take a mic on that one, if it's going to be faster. I was like, and it's like, what? So obviously, this is still not common knowledge.
Yeah, we got to do a whole podcast on match math. Maybe hopefully one day in the future we'll do that. That would be fun.
We will be doing match math.
Yeah,
we will.
All right, very cool. Very cool.
Coming.
Yeah, love it. So, all right, yeah. What else we got for the class?
So, actually, it's almost time, isn't it?
Is it?
We don't do
these hours fly by. I know.
They do. Oh my goodness. So, Andy, overall impressions.
Overall impressions, it was a great class. we sat around and talked about a couple of the drills that probably need to be moved to the first class.
Because you guys were sort of my guinea pigs. It was the first 2 days.
Exactly. We were guinea pigs.
So were we, man. It was fun.
That's right. You two were both the first of both classes.
So I think it was great. Learned a lot in coaching myself as well, which is something that I think everybody's going to need if you're going to advance. And I'm adding stuff to my book and my notes and everything as we're moving on. So
real quick, talk about the Excel spreadsheet.
So one of the things that we talked about is random training, drill training,
rotating skills.
Rotating skills. And one of the things I'm working on is I'm going to try and work up an Excel spreadsheet and send over to her to Randomize Training where you can keep track of what you're doing and where things are happening and where you're doing your improvements. But it'll pull out random information, random drills for you to run at 3 times a week, 5 times a week, however time you want to, how many times you want to run it. That way you can keep recording, but you've got something else actually generating the randomization for you to where you're not running the same drill every single time. That way we can start improving those skills and getting them in.
So in the workbook, I give you guys a formula for randomizing your training, randomizing your training plan and how to set that up. Also, there's a mathematical formula in there on finding your 100%, dialing it back versus amping it up, calculating hit factor and how to use that to find your low-hanging fruit, to tell you which things need to be in your practice more often. And I give you the ratio, how to find the ratio of randomization.
Yeah. And that'll all work in getting that incorporated as well. So we'll have that set up.
I want to come take it. I'm the only one here that hasn't taken this class yet, and I want to come take it now. So the next time you're up here,
you got to take the Smart Move class first.
Oh, we got to do prerequisite. All right, I like that. Yeah, so
prerequisite.
I got to do some work then. So next time you're up here at Double Eagle or something, I'm gonna be out there with you. So
nice. How about you, Grant?
Well,
general impressions.
Please, when you come to South Africa again, please run your new advanced class, because I'm definitely going to be there.
And when you go, please take me with you. I want to come meet Grant. I want to shoot in South Africa. That's all I want to do.
Well, by the looks of things, I'll probably come there first before you guys come down here. So, I'm working on something in May. But definitely need to take this. And obviously, I'm still getting the coaching in that, and Keita's sending me all the drills and that, and we are working through the stuff. So I'm hopefully going to be a better shooter soon.
Hey, you said you're coming in May. You got to let me know what match you're going to. I don't care where it is in the country. I'm going to come there. We're gonna shoot together. So if you're going out towards Wisconsin by where Keita is, then I will, I'll make sure I get the trip out there. If you're going to be on the East Coast,
I think he's going to be closer to you, actually.
Yeah, then you can stay with me, man. I got a room for you. You don't got to even get a hotel. So there you go.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Andy, for coming on.
Thank you, Andy. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me. It was great. It's a fun class. Looking forward to doing some more with you actually in the future. Grant, I hope to see you, meet you in person, and shoot with you here, before too long.
Yeah, definitely. But, good luck with making A class. I'm pretty sure you're going to crush it. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Working on it.
So.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Like and subscribe.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
All the likes and subscribes. Cheers.